So, Daddy, tell me a story about nicknames or your mistaken phrases that your kid has come up with. But yeah, so that I appreciate how old your son was. I figured at the ripe old age of 9 that somehow a nickname or a mispronunciation or something
Yeah.
came out. And it sounded like you
Oh,
had
yeah.
a story land.
My favorite story, one of my favorite stories of all time with Sam. He's probably, let's put about 3 or 4 years old. He's a very verbal kid. He was speaking really early because I don't stop talking, so it plays. But so we're at a beach house with my family. And here in North Carolina, you go to the coast and you rent a beach house for a week with like 3 or 4 families, and that's what
Sure.
you do to vacation. That's how we operate. We're not rolling in it. That's just how it works here. So we're at this beach house. There's a hot tub in the back, and we're spending the day out there. Sam's loving it. He's in the hot tub. He's in the pool. He's in the hot tub. And we're drinking pina coladas. So I'm making pina coladas. I'm giving it to him. You know, he's having one without alcohol in it, of course. And I'm just sitting on the back porch. He evidently had finished his because he yells out unprompted, "Daddy, can you make me one of those pina coladas?" And I've never recovered from him yelling that as loud as he could across the porch. And now we always call it a pina colada. Anytime we make pina coladas.
That's hilarious. That kind of reminds me of one night I was at dinner with friends, and they had a small kid, and they had, you know how, maybe this will be the second part of this conversation.
Sure.
Have you done something that you thought was funny, but then the kid didn't fully comprehend it, but they kept repeating it, and it made it worse? So this is where this guy just gets in this jokey mood or whatever, and he does the dumbest jokes and pranks, and his son had to be 5, 6. We're at this adult dinner, like, you know, a restaurant, and the kids are off to this other little table, and his son comes around and just pats him on the arm while he's talking, and he's like, "What?" And his son goes, it just blows water all on his face, which is obviously something that he had done to his kid at home or something. He got so angry, but the rest of us just laughed our butts off. It's like, dude, little dude, you're gonna get your butt whooped when you get home, but that was killer. That was so, your dad's a jerk and he deserved it. It's awesome. My oldest, he's just the most laid back. He just, nothing phases him. Well, now it does. He's a little angry monkey for some reason, and I don't know where that came from, honestly. But but when he was little, he just would go up and talk to people and do things. And we're actually in this neighborhood because her brother still lives a couple of houses down, and they're at his uncle's house. He couldn't have been 3, 4 years old, and the city was out doing something with the sewer system or whatever, and a big old backhoe is there and this and that and the other. And he came out, and this is, I mean, we're very rural. It's a big mix of African Americans and Hispanics and white people, and it's about even where we are. So odds are you're just going to talk to somebody that doesn't look like you. And my son gets that. He doesn't care. He just talked to people. And this little 3 or 4-year-old goes up to the guy operating the backhoe. And of course, the dude was super nice. "Hey, man, how's it going?" He's like, "I like your digger." And we're like, "Ooh." And the guy was like, he was African American. He's like, "It's a good digger, isn't it?" And we're like, "Oh, thank God you heard the little 3-year-old lisp there, because that came off really, oh my God, dude." And the guy let him drive and stuff. But we're like, whoa.
Oh yeah.
You know,
It's so bad when they're still learning to enunciate really well, and you're like, "What? That word does not sound like what you said. It's what I know you're trying to say. We need to get that right." If you thought of speech therapy, child, it's time to go.
I think a week later, the police were out there for something, and of course, lights up. He's like, "Oh, cool." So they took a picture of him, hands up against the car, and a cop frisking him down, and he thought it was the greatest thing ever. They're like, "Yeah, that's my kid."
That's the best.
Saying weird things and getting arrested. And it's awesome. And he is also the one. Okay. So this goes into kind of the bad things you teach him. But my dad never would pick out the names. Like, do you want grandpa? What pop? What do you want? Whatever they call us. All right, you're gonna let a 2-year-old pick the name that you're gonna be called for the rest of your life. And we were trying grandpa because he didn't really. There was nothing there, whatever. And somehow he was trying to say Geepaw and it came out Keepaw. I don't know. But my dad for the rest of his life now is Keepaw, right? All right, that's not been a name for a grandfather ever, but sure, we'll go with that crap. But I did teach him this. So, Stephen, whatever you taught your kid or did a joke that they went a little too far with, when he was 2 or 3, old enough toddler, old enough to still hold up, I taught him, it was like, get anybody to ask, get them to ask you for money, and you go, yeah, and then you smack them. And so if they ask you for money, he's like, go get your own money. And so he's okay. And I held him up and his keep all of this, like, hey, ask him for $5. He goes, hey, can I have $5? He goes, come here. And my dad lays there, he goes, smack, no, go get money. And I thought it was the funniest thing. Other people didn't, but yeah. So what about you? What about you?
I have been searching the deep wrinkles of my brain, and I can't think of one because I'm not a practical joker, so I never set him up for that. I'm trying to think of anything I've said where he's ran around and like maybe repeated it, and he shouldn't have. But I can't. I got nothing for you. I'm sorry. I'm bombing out on you right now.
You're all right. I got another one, but here, full run through says, we watched The Lion King with our 7-year-old, and during the intro of The Circle of Life, I started singing pink pajamas, penguins on the bottom. And if you think about the rhythm, circle of life, yeah, you can get it there. Yes, and tonight we're at Walmart, and the kiddo is singing that at the top of his lungs the whole time. I was a full-on paramedic when we had my first kid. And when I say full-on, I use the F word as a punctuation or an accent in every sentence, every other word just about. And so first kid, first pregnancy, my wife did the really ignorant first mother thing of, we're going to have to change our language. We're going to have to figure out. I'm like, how about I do the professional thing and teach our kid time and place and know your audience? Because I think that'll give them more skills in life than just to be like, well, we don't say F-bombs. But sure, I'll try it. Well, one day we're sitting in the bed and he said, jackass. And like, I whipped at her and she just looked guilty. And cause she had been in the car and somebody cut her off and she yelled jackass. And then he started copying it. She didn't tell me. She tried to just tell him to stop saying it. And it didn't. We're like, oh, the guy that everybody, I don't mean just my wife, my family, her family, co-workers that I don't give a crap about. We're like, Charles, you got to change your language. Guess who taught him the first swear word? And not me. But he did learn time and place because a while later, he had this beautiful metal truck. And I didn't see it one morning. I kicked it with my toe. And it was not the word fart, but it's fart. Just your world goes white. It was pain. You can't see because that toe is just screaming. And I just kind of put my head against the wall because I'm trying not to just lose my everything and break walls and throw things. Next morning, he comes, or maybe it was later that day, I don't remember. But, we'd been hanging out or whatever. And he barely bumped it with his foot. And he realized what he did. He looks at me, and he goes over to the wall, and he starts in his own voice going, fart, fart, fart. And I'm like, all right, bud, I'm going to allow it. That's appropriate. You hurt yourself. You can say that. However, you go to Keepaw's house and do that, you're going to get hurt worse. Just saying. Now,
yeah.
30-year-old to a 2-year-old, my hands are clean. You've been told, son. You got the logic. Go for it.
Oh, sure. Yeah. That's the thing. Like with me, like me and my wife are not swearers. We never have been. I've never really been a big swear word user. I don't know why. I don't swear.
I know you don't. It's written all over you. You're an all shucks kind of Andy Griffin spirit channeling kind of dude.
Yeah, I'm a Yosemite Sam swear. If I hit my toe, I'm like, I just make random noises. Yeah. But like my kid's mystified at bad words, like mystified. Like he started saying crap recently, and me and his mom were trying to overreact about stuff. 9-year-old crap's kind of borderline, whether that sounds good or doesn't sound good coming out of a kid, And I'm not here to judge other people. I'm just saying that's how we operate. So he's like, crap, a bad word. I'm like, well, it's not a bad word. You just probably should avoid saying it at school because some people frown on it and you might get you in trouble.
Yep.
So he started saying, I'm like, that's fine. But then he was watching a show and they said sucks a lot. And he's like, is that a bad word? I'm like, that's also kind of a not cool word. I don't really want you saying it right now. Maybe you get older and you get no context and all that. Maybe. But my mom used to just call them ugly words. She didn't call them bad words.
Yeah.
Yeah. She always called them ugly words. It's not a word that you want to use frequently. It's just a word you want to avoid. But I'm also of the mind, like, I am the anomaly in the swear usage. Most people who are 39 use them when needed, or sometimes when even not needed. And I'm like, my kid likely will swear because that would be wild if he didn't to me. So I have made the approach like you have context and timing. And if you need it for a punctuation, like the way I put it is they should have power and that power should work when you want them to. And if you use them all the time, you'll sap their power and people won't know when you're serious. So then when you're
phone,
yeah, like when you're serious and you need to get people's attention and you need to lean on a word to do it, you need to have a word in your pocket that makes everybody go, oh crap, Sam, all right? That didn't sound good. People they'll straighten up because it's unusual for you. So, and I knew kids like when I was in 6th grade who would just drop F-bombs behind the teacher's back and stuff, and they were dumb. They were just dumb kids.
It reminds me of a Key and Peele skit. My wife should do.
Yes.
And I was like, and then they look around and go, I was like, yeah.
I love that one.
Yeah. Yeah. Dramatic effect, random kid. Dramatic effect should not be underestimated. 100%.
Yeah. If I need one, I will grab one and it will likely get your attention.
I want that should be those that are Days Patreon, or if it doesn't fit there, put it on Wise and Nerdy Patreon. We'll give you a cut. But I want for that patronage, just some racy word laden scenes like from say hello to my little friend whatever.
Al Pacino, Scarface,
yeah. Like a Scarface speech that Steven has to read one take because I want to hear him giggling. I was like, no, come on, man, I'm not saying that. I just want him, and that's it. You get 5 minutes of Steven trying to read this monologue that is not Steven at all, and I think it'd be golden. Oh, gosh. It'd be so good.
Don't give them ideas. My dignity's not for sale, Charles. I'm not doing it.
You don't get 20 years in the business without selling some dignity, sir. We perform for a living. Come on.
You're not wrong.
Oh, man. All right. So we've got one more. I like that. The WNN Sailors cut.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Bad censorship is always funny. Like misplaced. Yeah. I could take, which I haven't done it. Yeah, but like I could take an interview with Steven for finding the stories and then just put a sailor or a censored cut and just randomly censor some of the words he says. And it's hilarious.
It'll be amazing.
Yeah. You're like, what did he say? So good.